Hey everyone, it's Alec Ring, again, fourth grade teacher, and today I'm going to talk to you about the race trace method of writing that we use in fourth grade. And it stems off of the race method that I talked to you about in another video. And that's a method that they use in second and third grade, mostly third, and they teach it again in fourth grade. But then from there we transition into race, trace, in conclusion. And the more trace you add, the more body paragraphs there are, the bigger the essay is. And you'll see what I mean by trace in a minute, but the whole goal of this assignment or this format or method of writing is to prepare the students for middle school, for high school, all these different writing assignments that they're going to be expected to know how to complete, all these different essays that they're going to have to write. Basically what this does is it gives them some type of framework to work with, and it adds more girth to the essay. So if you've watched the previous video, pause this video right now and think about what race means. What does the acronym mean? What do each one of those letters think? Go ahead and pause it and see if you can remember. Okay, you think you got it? Okay, so we know that R stands for what? Restate, right? You restate the question. You restate exactly what it's asking you. And you have to use as many words in your opening sentence than what's in the essential question. You have to basically take the question and make it sound like an opening line, okay? A stands for what? Answer. Answer exactly what the question is asking you. 3, cite. Okay? Cite. Cite is when you go back into the text and you pull out the evidence that best supports your answer. And then you have E, explain. Explain why that quote is so important. That's what you got to do, all right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take race, the steps of race, and we're going to put a T in the front. So it says trace. You have the same framework, now we're adding something here. So pause the video right now and think about what T means. What could that T stand for? Go ahead and pause it, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss the T. All right, you think you got it? Okay, T stands for what? Tomatoes, right? No. So T stands for transition, transitional words or phrases. I like to use phrases just because I think it really helps build the sentence, give it a little bit more to stem off of. And we'll talk more about it. And then race. You all know what race is. It goes right with it. Okay? All right, so let's get started. So basically what I'm going to do now is this is the same exact paragraph as the other day that we used in the previous video about how graffiti is a form of vandalism. Okay? Now what we have to do is we have to turn this, we have to transition this into another body paragraph. We have to take all this information and we have to keep talking, right? So what I have my students do first, before I go any farther, I have them pull out a clean sheet of paper and I have them fold it what they call hamburger style, okay? Just like that, across its width, just like that, across the paper's width. So this way you have a crease going across the middle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw on a line. So this way it's easier for you to see. I don't know, can you see that? It's kind of a dull marker, but anyhow. So I draw on a line so you can see it, and then again, we get into that same habit. R, A, C, E. But I'm going to stop right here. I did not add in conclusion. When I'm doing race, trace, or race, trace, trace, whatever, I do race, stop. Move down here, trace. Okay? And then, again, after that, in conclusion. So the T in trace stands for transitional words or phrases. Transitional words would be what? What are transitional words? Can you think of a few? Go ahead and pause the video again and see if you could come up with a list of transitional words. What are some words that you came up with? So, transitional words that I come up with would be next, because, also, first, second, right? Those are transitional words, but I like phrases. I really like transitional phrases because it adds more to the sentence. It makes it a little bit longer, a little bit more bulkier, and that's what we're looking for here, okay? So what would some transitional phrases be? Do the same thing as before. Pause the video, see if you could come up with a few, and then when you're ready, press, resume, and then we'll go from there. So transitional phrases, in addition to, I love this one, as a result of, moreover would be a word, but you could stem that into a sentence. In addition to, as a result of, moreover. If there's anything else you could think of, add it, okay? So we know now what the T stands for in trace, and we know what race stands for. A race is when two people or things compete against each other to see which one is the fastest. No, it's a method of writing. Okay, you didn't laugh at my joke. Of course not. Okay. So, let's just now assume that we completed the race part of our essay, okay? So this is going to be our first paragraph. We have our introduction line, which is this right here. It's taking the question, it's turning it into an opening line. We have the A answering the question here. Then we have the C citing the A, giving us a citation as to why we believe the way we do. And then we have E, which is explaining why we think our citation is the best one. This is the first paragraph. This part is complete. Now what we have to do is we have to transition into a second paragraph, okay? So after that, what I have my kids do is we move down, basically what I'm about to do for you, and I'm going to do trace. And then in conclusion. So I think the best way for you to understand how the first part is done is to watch the first video and then watch this one, because it's kind of the framework for the rest of the format, okay? All right. So let me read it to you, so this way you'll see how it all flows together. Graffiti is a form of vandalism, not art, because the artist did not have the owner's permission to do this. In the text, it says that many artists risk their safety because graffiti is illegal. This is important because the people who do this face punishments for the effect of ruining someone's property. All right, that's the first body paragraph. Now what you have to do is you need to come up with an argument as to why it's illegal or as to why it's vandalism, and you need to come up with a few good reasons for it. So go ahead, get a sheet of paper ready, get all that out and ready to go for what you want to do. Pause the video and we'll go from there. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to transition into the second paragraph, okay? I like to say another reason. So I'm going to start off, and when you're when you're typing, you'd want to tab and indent here, okay? You'd want to move down so you create a second paragraph, and then this is where you'd want to tab, make that indentation. So I'm stemming from this top paragraph up here, I'm turning it into another one, all right? So, another reason graffiti is vandalism is because, all right, now I'm going to stop right here. Pay close attention to what I'm about to do. Another reason. That is a transitional phrase. That's the T. Okay? Graffiti is vandalism. Again, I'm going back to the essential question. Is it vandalism or is it art? I'm saying it's vandalism. I'm restating the question. There's my R. I could cross that off the list. All right? You see how I'm killing two birds with one stone here in the same sentence. I talked to you about that in the other video. You see what I just did there? Now I'm beginning to answer it. Okay? Another reason graffiti is vandalism is because I have to go back into the text and I have to think about what the author's telling me, okay? Again, this is something where I have to go right in, skim and scan, and find something that's going to best support my answer. Again, this is an article that I got off of Readworks. It's not my original work. It is something that I printed and I used for the lesson because I thought it was the best one. That's why I chose it. So I have to answer it based on something I read in the text. I need to get my answer from somewhere. It talks about gangs, so I'm going to say that graffiti vandalism could be a form of a gang marking their territory. Be a gang marking their territory. By etching or painting logos or symbols where they don't have permission. Okay? That's an idea that I got from the text based on writing. Based on reading, excuse me. Now what I have to do is I have to go into the text and I have to find a quote that's going to support my answer. So is my A done? Yeah, my A is done. And I'll tell you why. Because it says because, and then I'm just telling you what I know. So my A is done, marked it off. It's this down here. Now, I have to say how I know this. I need to tell you how it's important, okay? So I'm going to go into the text. I'm going to find a quote that best supports my answer. Now, I like to begin my quote saying, I know this because, or in the text it says, but I already used in the text it says up here. See that? I already used that up here. I want to use something else. So I want to get more creative. I don't want to keep repeating myself. So I'm going to move this down. And I'm going to say, I know this because I read that. Now, I see, this is kind of a gray area, and I tell my students, I don't like I language in argumentative writing. But sometimes I don't think it always matters. I think you can get away with it, but you want consistency. Okay? I know this because I read, or one can assume by what the text means is another thing that you could write. Because the text states, or the author says, I'm going to change that. I know this because the author says, and I'm using quotes, but you probably should. Many people tagged their names on buildings and subway cars. Okay, end quote. Now what I have to do is I have to explain why my quote that I just picked is relevant to what I cited. So look, there's my citation. I'm talking about where it is in the text. So again, I'm going to cross off the C to show that I did the step. Now, all I'm left with is to explain and my concluding sentence. So I'm going to say something along the lines of, as a result of this, okay, that, again, that's another transitional phrase, and it's an explanation. Gangs have been known to increase crime rate in cities. And give them a poor reputation. This is information that you need to kind of come up with on your own, or something that you have pulled from the text, put into your own words that you think is best, supports the citation. I explained it. I explained why I think it's a good one. It has to do with gangs tagging subway cars and people's using their names. Okay? So, does it explain it? Yeah, it does. I'm crossing it off. Now, in conclusion, I have to take everything that I just said, and it would probably be best to start at the top and work your way down to everything that you just wrote, read it, read through it, see what makes sense here, and then make your concluding statement out of that, okay? So, in conclusion, graffiti is vandalism. I'm going to use a little bit of a finer pen because I'm running out of room. Conclusion, graffiti is, can you see that okay? Is vandalism and should stay illegal because we need to keep our cities clean and safe. Clean and safe. Okay? And again, I'm shorthanding, but that's for a demonstration. So please do what I say, don't do as I do. You do not want to shorthand on an essay because that is going to get points marked off for you. Any of my students know that. In text language, you are as in you're and LOL and JK and gonna, GONNA. That's a big no with my students. And then I just did in conclusion, I concluded it, so I could go ahead and cross that off my list. Okay? So, let's take it from the top. Graffiti is a form of vandalism, not art, because the artist did not have the owner's permission to do this. In the text it says that many artists risk their safety because graffiti is illegal. This is important because the people who do this face punishments for the effect of ruining someone's property. Now again, here I'm transitioning, starting another paragraph. Another reason graffiti is vandalism is because it could be a gang marking their territory by etching or painting logos or symbols where they don't have permission. I'm saying that it's vandalism because I'm telling you that it's a gang, which is something illegal, and that they're etching or painting on something they don't have permission. So I said what graffiti was earlier. Now I'm giving an example of who uses it. We all know that gangs are illegal. That's why I'm saying it's vandalism. I know this because the author says many people tag their names on buildings and subway cars. Again, you're tagging your name kind of like a whole gang thing. As a result of this, gangs have been known to increase crime rate in cities and give them a poor reputation. In conclusion, graffiti is vandalism and should stay illegal because we need to keep our cities clean and safe. Okay? Another student of mine, and it was a good idea, said how vandalism kind of ruins the city and draws away tourists and stuff, and it kind of gives it a reputation. And that would have been another argument, but that could be saved for a third paragraph. So again, remember, this is the division of two different paragraphs. You have your first one, you're going to transition, and you're going to start your second one. You can start your third one if you have to, your fourth. It just depends on how long the essay has to be and what exactly is required of you. Remember, that essential question that it asks, is this vandalism or is it art? It needs to resonate through the entire essay. You see, I said it here, I said it again down there, I mentioned it up here, okay? You need to make sure that you are hitting all the points of the question. That essential question is finding itself, it's resonating through the entire essay, all right? That's a sign that it has a topic, you know what you're writing, it's gonna be good, all right? Now, the very last thing I wanna mention, I mentioned it in the other video too. These R-A-C-E-T-R, these big clunky letters, those big, signs that we have on the side of the paper to remind us what we're supposed to write. If for some reason you're teaching and you want your students to format their paper like this on the computer, be sure to always erase this before you turn it in. Tab, backspace, to make this look like it's one big cohesive paragraph. Except here, this is where you're going to want to indent and tab, okay? Because I take points off for that. You're not really going to want to do this on like something professional, so definitely keep that away. But when you do your rough draft, always before you type, write it out on a piece of paper and definitely get in the mindset of labeling your paper this way. Because this way you have an organizational tool, you got a structure, you have a framework, you know exactly what it is that you want to write. Type what you have written, so I would type what I have in the blue, and your paper's done for you. It's that easy. And it's much more organized, neat, runs a little bit more smooth, okay? So you could take this a step further and do trace again, applying the same principles if you want to model this lesson another way and build more paragraphs off of it. But I think that's about it with this one. And again, if you have any questions, comments, leave them in the comment box below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And then I think I'm going to talk to you in another video about making a hook and really capturing the reader's attention, excuse me. Because it can be a little bland sometimes, and you want a really good introduction paragraph that is just really going to capture your reader's attention. It's almost like a good pickup line or like a going fishing and catching your fish. You really want to reel them in, right? All right, so like I said, I think that's all. If there's anything else I could help you with, let me know in the comment box below. I'll be happy to help. All right, thanks guys.